Alright, what's up guys? So another very exciting review for me. And I gotta say, shame on me for not picking this up earlier. And shame on FN for not marketing it better, because as far as a concealed carry double stack, compact, 9mm, this is an incredible option. Alright, you guys seen probably some reviews out there. There's only a few on YouTube right now, which is very surprising to me. And all the reviews are ranting and raving, you know, excellence, they're all loving it. And of course I had to hold it in my hand, right guys, and shoot it for myself and come up with my own opinions on it. And they are excellent. Alright, I'm just gonna spoil it right now and tell you guys, alright? So before we jump into this, you guys know the backstory for my YouTube channel. If you don't, you know, this is it real quick. You know, I started it 9 months ago, guys. I had no intentions of having a YouTube channel. Had nothing prepared, only an iPad. You know, I was doing knife reviews at the time, and I think my first vid was sending a comparison video to my boy over in California. So now that, you know, I have 2,000 plus subs, people are expecting a little more, and people are becoming a little more critical, you know, as expected. And I gotta be honest and tell you guys, without a YouTube channel, I'd still be buying these things. I'd still be buying these firearms, these sweet blades, this survival gear, because that's who I am. That's what I'm into, you know? And guys now are saying, you know, hey, get to the review, stop talking and bullshitting and kissing ass and all of this stuff. You know, I guess like I'm doing now. And I gotta tell you guys, you know, this is how I do things, alright? I talk sometimes, I give you my thoughts, I go off topic. You know, if you guys want some guy in a shirt and tie telling you the exact specs, and this is 5.3 and this is, you know, 4.6 and blah blah blah, and that's all they do, there's plenty of YouTube channels that do that. I like to talk sometimes, you know, and that's just what it is. So when some guy tells me to, you know, shut up and get to the review and stop kissing ass, it was actually on the video that I was giving shout outs to. Now, the people I were giving shoutouts to have like 100 subs, you know, some are just getting started off, not all, but some, and I don't know why I would be kissing their ass, but, you know, it's all about support, guys. I just want to support the you know, the younger channels, I guess you would say, and thank you guys for all your support. Go check out Guns and Gadgets has a video on how to have a successful YouTube channel. It's actually very informative, lots of great information, great channel over there, Guns and Gadgets. It was just funny, I was laughing the whole video because I have done none of those things. I don't have Facebook, I don't promote myself other places, I'm not very professional. My setup is an iPad with a gooseneck stand over a table and there's a gun in front of you. I mean, that's about as professional as it's probably ever going to get, guys. Sorry. You know, that's just the way I do it. I have a full-time job, family, you know, lots of things in my life. And I just want to take the time and show you what my passions are. In the hour that I do it, that I make a vid, that's how much time I spend on it. All right? I don't edit. I don't do anything. I guess I'm an anomaly. But follow those guidelines on his channel if you want to have a successful YouTube channel. But again, guys, you know, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. If you don't like the way I review things, you know, there's other YouTube channels out there. I do appreciate my subs, and, you know, thanks again. And I guess the complaint was what I just did. So anyway, let's jump into it, guys, all right? We got the FNS Compact. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I'm sure you have. You know, it came out a couple years ago, the full-size version. And, you know, excellent reviews on that one as well. The first striker fire from FN. They're you know, military-based company, great reputation, and, you know, let's open it up. I'm just blown away by this, guys, all right? So this is the FNS. This is the 9C, okay? And I mean, so far, guys, I mean, I've taken it to the range yesterday. I actually picked it up a couple days ago, and, you know, I saw my boy Headshot87 over there did a review, and I cannot believe it's just eluded me this last year. I guess the problem with us guys, you know, that do the reviews on gear and stuff is there's so much stuff out there to review, you know, and you get caught up. I was doing knife reviews at the time, and, you know, other firearms were coming out, and every now and then a diamond in the rough kind of, you know, escapes your radar, I guess. And wow, I mean, the Glock 43 got all this, you know, all these promotions, talk all over the web, and this kind of just snuck in there, and wow, guys. All right, so let's show you what it comes with real quick. you know, nice case, very nice case, well packed. You know, and the cool thing is this date stamp is actually December 2014, even though this, you know, was released after SHOT Show and whatever. So that's kind of cool. But I picked this up 2 days ago and took it to the range, and 160 rounds the first day. Yesterday I went to the range again and fired another 80 rounds on the way home from work. Flawless, and I'm just loving it. So let's see what we get here. All right, we got the 3 mags a la Glock, you know, Gen 4s now, and that's what I'm gonna do a little comparison to because it is very similar. And yeah, I love this flush mag with this base plate. I truly do. Glock has one, an aftermarket one, and I think it's called the Gap plate or something like that. And it's just a thin plate that comes across just like this and extends here. Not the Pierce pinky extension, okay? I'm talking about just the flush plate. And what that does is it provides that extra little purchase for this finger right here, okay? So that's grabbing on here so it's not going to be sliding down. I really, really like that. Texturing. I mean, the aggressive stippling, even more so than the Gen 4s, which I like being in South Florida. I mean, you guys know it gets a little sweaty down here, sweaty palms. Fit and finish, top notch. FN, you know, just very high quality, guys. Obviously, you have a few, you know, add-ons on this that you won't have on your standard, at least so far, your standard polymer frames, you know. And they're doing the front serrations here, which they do on the SIG P320 subcompact, compact, all right, which is a great idea for those press checks, or if you want to, you know, rack it back from the front there. But it's just a nice add-on. You got to pay a lot of extra money for, you know, a slide like that. If you want a Glock slide with serrations, you know, you got to get it milled out. The fact that it has a, you know, Picatinny rail, not just one slot, kind of gives it that little more badass look to it. All right, gives it the illusion of being a bigger, you know, gun than it is, I think. Trigger. I mean, guys, you've probably heard it, but the best subcompact striker fired trigger out of the box. Out of the box so far in my hands. And no, I'm not talking about the Walther PPQs and all that. Those are, you know, larger guns. I'm talking about the subcompacts. Out of the box, Smith & Wesson, Glock, Beretta, you know, Ruger. This trigger so far, I'm loving. I really am. You know, it doesn't have that little dingus here in the front, but it does have the, you know, the Smith & Wesson kind of, I don't know, little shoe here. All right, that's your safety. Let's do a little example here for you, okay, guys? I want you to see the safety right here, okay, a la Smith & Wesson. Okay, but look at this pull. Okay, that's the take up right there. That's the wall. That is a crisp break. Reset. Very audible and not a far reset. Now I think guys said that there was a longer reset only because look how much further, you know, this protrudes from the back here. So it looks like the reset is a lot. Okay, so watch. But look where the actual trigger is. It's all the way out here. It's not back here. It's all the way out here. So it does look like the reset comes out, but it really doesn't that much. So that's not very much, okay? Excellent trigger. Loving it. Sights, 3-dot, okay? Very, very, very big front sight on that, if you guys can see if I can line it up here. You know, I mean, very, very big front sight. It's very, very clear. I love that. I do have night sights coming for it, which is nice. All right. Now I'll talk about the other mags here. Pinky extension, okay? You're going to have to pay more on a Glock to buy that pinky extension, so it does give you that option. And of course, I have to love the backup 17-round mag. All right. I'm going to do a little comparison, as I told you, with, I think, something that's probably the most popular concealed carry 9mm subcompact right now, the Glock 26 Gen 4. All right, oh, let's do it this way just to make it fair. All right, so what you're getting in a Gen 4, all right, from the factory, you're getting, okay, that's not a very good example. You're getting 3 of these, right? You're getting 3 of the same exact flush mags. You're going to have to pay that extra money to get those extensions on there, okay? So for me personally, some people wanted all of the same to, you know, personalize them for themselves. But me personally, I love a flush mag to carry. Okay, this is what I'm going to shoot with at the range, this flush mag, because that's how I carry it, right? And this, you know, this is a bonus, sure, but this is what I'm going to carry as my backup. Now, a Glock 17 mag, you would have to purchase, okay? So you'd have to spend money and get a Glock 17 mag, $25. And then you would have to get the X-Grip, another $5, so $30, okay, so far. And, I mean, just the options are nice, okay? A lot of guys are just going to carry it with the pinky extension here, okay? So maybe, you know, they wouldn't use this one. Carry the 17 round backup. I'm loving it. Now the magazine release, I've seen a few mixed reviews on it. Some say they're very hard and they don't pop out. Luckily, you know, this one does pop out, but that's probably my only issue with it, is it's not very accessible. It's not sticking out there. It's kind of recessed in a little bit, and for my large hands, I kind of got to come back a little bit on it, if you guys can see, and then really push in. All right. So, yeah, you know, that's an issue. If you train with it, obviously you can get better at it. All right. And here's the pop on it, guys. Okay, so it doesn't pop that much, but do Glocks. Okay, so it just pops out a little bit. All right, that's probably, all right, same with Glock, right? I'll show you the XDS later. All right, so that's what you're getting with Glock. Doesn't really fly out of there. So, let's look at some size comparisons here. Like I said, you've seen a few reviews. Hitchcock got a great one. All right, but so similar in size. If we line them up, and this is why I like doing this for myself, because on, you know, camera, sometimes you see it and, you know, then you get it yourself and it's a little different. But if I line the slides up, okay, just the slides themselves, there's a very, very small difference, you guys can see. All right, just the slides. So that's a very minimal difference. I would say 1/8 of an inch, less than 1/4. All right, beaver tails, if you want to line up those beaver tails, all right, that's going to be about 1/4 inch longer. All right, remember guys, 2 more rounds. Okay, this is where the difference is going to be. It's about a base plate. All right, let's line them up properly. And it's about a base plate. All right, it's not bad for an extra 2 rounds, guys. This is the part that's going to stick out. Okay, so if you are worried about that, all right, that's a better look. All right, so if you are worried about that, I mean, that's the difference there, guys. Not much. 2 more rounds. Okay. And let's see, obviously very minimal, you know, controls on the outside, which I love. I love this, you know, the lines here. It's actually, for some reason, if you do have to, you know, rack it back, it gives you a little more purchase right there. If you're doing the front serrations rack, you kind of put your thumb right there and you can rack. I'm sure that wasn't the design, you know. It's just made to look pretty badass, guys. Okay. Obviously, Takedown, very similar on, you know, many firearms. Throw that down. All right. You're going to bring it forward. Okay. Pull that trigger. You want to line it up. And then pull it forward. All right. It's a little tricky at first because you kind of got to make sure, instead of just sliding right off, that this is lined up with this. All right. So this is over here when you pull that trigger. Internally, got a captive recoil spring a la Glock. All right. But it does look a lot smaller, I realized. Whew. All right, now, that could be a little, I haven't really seen much on this. Could be a little issue. Let's put these over here. Look at that. Whew! Look at the beefiness of this recoil spring from Glock, and look at the one on FNS. I wonder why. Now, I believe that this is stainless steel, okay? Which is, you know, which is nice. I do believe it's stainless. I'm not 100% on that, guys. Okay? But, like I said, you know, just got this. I do believe it is stainless steel. It is a little longer, alright, if you line them up. But look at the girth on the Glock. Alright, so very thin recoil spring. It's actually the thinnest I've seen. Okay, so that's that. Got a very nice barrel. I mean, guys, you've seen it all before. Okay, Very similar to many striker-fired pistols, right? So I'm loving it so far, guys. Haven't had any issues at the range. Okay, so that's a good thing. Okay, very tight getting this in there. I will have to say you have to be very deliberate in the way you put this in. Because it's not like Glock where it just kind of slides in. It's a little more difficult. Alright, maybe tolerances are a little tighter on that. And this is what I wanted to show you guys, okay? Now, see the locking block here? Look at the difference. Which one's beefier? Which one's a little more diesel? Which one looks more sturdy? I'd definitely go with the FN, okay? And what it has here, if you see the lock-in block on this is, yes, you know, right here, but then that little portion here is where the rail rides. And this actually has the rail on the lock-in block itself, which looks very sturdy. Just beefy, looks like it'll hold up for sure. The rails on the back here, that's your rail on a Glock, no surprise, that's it, that little portion. And this entire part back here, metal, this whole part back here is the rail. So I mean, from a sturdiness, I guess, build quality, hardness, I would definitely say that, you know, this has, I think, a little bit more sturdy features. And obviously a polished feed ramp, guys. I don't know if I showed you that, but that's a nice little touch in there. Okay, very easy to do. Another thing Glock does not do. So, there are advantages, okay? Now, I'm a Glock guy to the end, you guys know, but you cannot deny that you are getting, you know, some better stuff in this FNS 9C, and in a lot of other guns, to be honest with you. And I think the attraction for the Glock is that the fact that it doesn't have anything, it doesn't have all those bells and whistles or extra, you know, stuff, and people still buy them because of the dependability, the simplicity, who knows? Alright, but I'm loving this so far. The trigger is incredible. Let me do a little comparison here, and I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of this, but, you know, when you see it right in front of you, you really do notice what a difference it is, okay? Now, you guys know I love my Glocks, right? Okay, now, look at this. This is just a regular Glock trigger. Okay, that's all your mushiness on a Glock trigger as always, alright? You get to that wall, a little more mushiness, a little even more mushiness, and that very, very audible click, and then the reset, very audible, very short, okay? But that's your mushiness on a Glock, okay, guys? Okay, now this is not the mushiness, this is just the safety, guys. All right, now I'm pulling the trigger. There's the wall. A little more, boom. Okay. Okay, so you got that little bit of travel right here. Then you hit that wall. Boom, no more travel. I love it. I really do, guys. Really love that trigger. Like I said, I'm a little over 200 rounds in right now, and life is good. All right. So let's do a little comparison with a 19. Okay, just to see some size differences here. All right, let's put this flush mag in. All right, so showing you guys that one, right? Get that to stand up there. We'll just do a 19. Let's do that base plate here. Just a stock base plate. I did get an aftermarket barrel from my Vickers here, guys. Oh, that's a 17. Oops. All right, well, anyway, let's do it with the Vickers then, I guess. Okay, so this is your difference. And Hickok, again, guys, has done this, okay? I don't know if you're gonna, you know, so that's your difference. All right, almost about a base plate for everyone. Remember that 19, though, okay? That's holding 15 rounds, 12, 10. All right, this is just, I think, a real, truly perfect size for concealed carry. It's bigger than the subcompacts if you have those larger hands and you want something a little bigger, and it's a little bit smaller than that 19, you know, so it's that M&P 9C size, okay? Now let's talk about some weights here. This is actually 23 and a half, 23.4 ounces, and your Glock 19 holding 15 rounds. Almost identical, 23.65. All right, 23.4, 23.65, 21. All right, so those are your weight differences, if that matters to you. All right, 1 or 2 ounces, not a big deal. You know, you're getting up to 4 or 5 ounces, it becomes a little bit more of a factor. But let's look at these single stacks, okay guys? So everybody wants the single stacks, and there's definitely purposes for them, and people carry them as their main, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But a big deal on the single stack is the profile. So you're going to get this Smith & Wesson Shield because you want something very thin and concealable. I understand that. And also it's 19 ounces. So it's about 4, almost 5 ounces lighter, and that's a very good thing, okay? Holds the 7+1. Let's see here. Oh, and see, this is why I do this, guys. I learn stuff when I do this stuff for you guys, you know what I mean? Like, look, that's exactly the same height in grip, and that's holding 7, and this is holding 12. Obviously, you're carrying this because of the thin profile, guys, okay? It is a little bit shorter. And the weight, all right, it is noticeable when you're talking about 4 or 5 ounces. Now, guys, I have these firearms, so obviously I love them, right? I mean, the XDS, what do you say? You know, same height as the Shield, same height as your FSN 9C, okay? Now, and you're going to get this because of the weight. Oh, no. You chunky XDS bastard. 23 ounces. I don't know what's up with the XDS, okay? It's just so funny that this weighs so much. It really is, you know. You're going for the thin profile, okay, but you're weighing half an ounce lighter than your 12 round. Okay, so you got that thin profile, but you're not really saving much on the weight for an XDS, guys. 23, 4 ounces heavier than your Shield. I love it, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so weight, right around, you know, good weight for the capacity. I'm loving life right now, guys. I really am. I'm gonna do there's your 19 and your FSN 9C. Guys, I've been having a hard time getting holsters for it, right? I was gonna actually ask your guys' opinion. You know, I don't want to wait a month or 2 for an inside the waistband Kydex holster, so I was gonna ask you guys, you know, do you know anybody that's ready to ship? And then it popped up, Frontline Holsters. Emailed my buddy over there at Frontline Holsters and asked him, hey bud, you know, do you have by chance a holster for the FNS 9C? And he said, actually, I got one in last week. So Frontline Holsters, guys, 35 bucks, ready to ship in a few days. I got one on the way. Very excited about it. So now I can finally start carrying it. Although it is so similar to the size of a 2619 that it'll fit all of your Kydex leather back-in hybrid holsters. Like a glove. I mean, truly like a glove. I would carry it like this, okay? For your leather holsters, all right, this is for a 19, I believe. All right, fitting in there, obviously coming up a little short. Okay, but it will not fit. Okay, so this is for my 19, right? So, or 26, you know, but you can jam it in there, but custom, you know, molded Kydex is obviously molded to these frames, so it's not really going to fit. All right, guys, just want to let you know that. But if you do have something for a 19 or a 26 with a leather back-in, it almost fits like it's made for it. Not bad. So, I guess I've rambled on long enough. That's how I do things. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Also, I mean, thank you so much for the subs. I don't even know what to do anymore, guys. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of gear, and I'll continue to show it and give you my thoughts and, you know, ramble on and do what I do. So, God bless.